Hi, I'm Linda Eddy. Thanks for watching. Today I'm going to talk about some reasons why you should not do drugs. In order to make that decision, you need to be educated and prepared.
Understand what you are getting into. It's easier to stay off drugs than to get off drugs. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
So today I'm going to talk about how drugs affect your body, how drugs affect your relationships, and how drugs affect your life. So let's get started. When you put drugs in your body, the drugs damage your body physically. So they damage your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, your internal organs. So if drugs don't get you one way, they'll get you another. Drugs also cause skin damage. They cause sores on your skin. And they cause your teeth to decay and hurt and fall out. Drugs will also damage your brain.
This is an image of a normal brain and a brain affected by methamphetamine. The bright colors are easily to notice a difference in, but also notice the dark spots and black spots on the brain affected by methamphetamine.
When you take drugs, the drugs change your brain. They cause your brain to communicate differently. The drugs fill your brain with dopamine, which is associated with pleasure items. And the drugs fill the brain with a lot of dopamine. When the brain realizes this, it says, oh, you've got enough dopamine, so I'm not going to make any more.
Drugs target the brain's pleasure center and increase dopamine. This is a picture of normal dopamine amounts for food pleasure and extreme dopamine amounts when cocaine is taken. Drugs also affect the way the brain communicates.
So the only way you can get pleasure is if you take more drugs. So you have a desire to take more drugs.
It's hard to understand how drugs can change the brain. One example is pleasure items. We usually get pleasure from relationships with our family and friends, activities, sports, cars or trucks, music, food, and even relaxing, just to name a few. If the brain is not producing dopamine, then you are not getting any pleasure for these items. Since you aren't getting any pleasure from anything except drugs, then drugs is the only thing you want and all that matters to you. All the things that were important to you or fun to you are not anymore. Therefore, drugs has changed your brain.
If you try to stop using drugs, you will have severe withdrawals.
If a drug user tries to stop using drugs, here are some common withdrawal symptoms they will have: extreme restlessness, tearing and runny nose, severe muscle and bone pain, sleep problems, insomnia, diarrhea and vomiting, cold flashes, depression, tension, panic attacks, tremors, difficulty concentrating, and seizures. One way to stop these withdrawal symptoms is to take more drugs,
which again will make you want to do drugs more. So it's just a snowball effect that keeps you addicted.
The average withdrawal symptoms for heroin start as early as 6 hours since your last dose. They peak at 1 to 3 days and get better after a week. Post-acute withdrawal syndrome could persist for weeks, months, or even years after your last dose.
Now that we've talked about the effects of drug use on your body, let's look at some pictures.
These mugshots were taken about 8 months apart. These were about 10 years apart. And these pictures were 2 years apart. This is a picture from the Montana Meth Project. It states, "Picking for bugs under your skin isn't normal, but on meth it is."
Okay. Seeing is believing, and what you see is what you get. Now let's go to the good book and see what the Bible has to say. In 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19 and 20, it says, "Or do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God, and you are not your own? For you were bought at a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's." So this is saying that we need to take care of our body. Drugs will kill you, and it will hurt the whole time you are dying. Now let's talk about the effects of drugs on your relationships.
Addiction is a special kind of hell. It takes the soul of the addict and breaks the hearts of everyone who loves them.
If you put drugs in your body, they will control your life. Every decision you make will revolve around, how can I get more drugs? You will hurt your friends and family. You will sell your stuff to get drug money. You will steal stuff and commit crimes, do illegal stuff to get drug money, and you will put yourself in danger to get drugs. You will eventually lose your family, your friends, your job, your possessions, time, and possibly your life. You could easily be on drugs years or decades, and you would lose all of that time. Drugs will turn you into a person that you would never want to be. Let's see what the good book has to say. In 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour." So we need to be alert and we need to be prepared to say no. Most drug users didn't start out using needles. They started out using pills or some sort of drug that you inhale. After a while, they would need to use more drugs and use them more often to get the same high that they was getting at first. So that's when they started using harder drugs and needles. Don't think that you can be just a weekend drug user or a social drug user, because once you put drugs in your body, you will need them all the time, and you will eventually need them just to function.
The average drug user uses drugs about 3 times a day.
You also need to know what drugs look like. They could look like pills or powder or paper or even candy. A good rule of thumb is if you don't know what it is, don't put it in your body. If it looks like something similar but a little different, don't put it in your body. If you don't know where it came from, don't put it in your body. Never make permanent decisions on temporary feelings. Drugs will change your brain and the way you think. Now, the most important reason to not do drugs. The 10 Commandments. The first commandment states, "You shall have no other gods before me." If you do drugs, Drugs will always come first, and drugs will be your God.
Doing drugs is like getting on a train that's going all around the world. At first, everything is great. Your brain is filled with dopamine, and you feel good. All your problems are gone. You are getting to see the world, and you are happy. Then, you start to abuse the drugs and become dependent on the drugs. It turns into a vicious cycle of addiction. Pretty soon, there will be a reason you want to get off the train. Maybe a family outing, or a wedding, a birthday party, maybe just to help work on the farm. And that's when you will realize you can't get off the train.
If you do drugs, you will not have any room in your life for anything else.